Violations, potential violations, and solutions addressing the non-citizen education crisis at the University of Nebraska at Omaha. The University of Nebraska at Omaha's scholarship programs, specifically the Dreamers Pathway and Henningsen, Durham, and Richardson HDR scholarships, have ignited a federal investigation into alleged violations of federal and state laws, exposing a broader non-citizen education crisis that prioritizes undocumented students over American-born students, particularly white Nebraskans. This addendum details the confirmed and potential violations, laws and regulations breached, associated punishments, possible crimes that may be uncovered through ongoing investigations, and comprehensive solutions to halt fraud, abuse, and waste at the University of Nebraska at Omaha and address systemic issues in Nebraska's educational landscape. Confirmed violations and laws broken. The Dreamers Pathway Scholarship, which provided full tuition, fees, and books to deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA, or DACA-eligible Nebraska residents, and the HDR Scholarship, funded by HDR Incorporated, prioritizing underrepresented minorities, are accused of violating Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, 42 U.S.C. Section 2000D. This federal law prohibits national origin discrimination in programs receiving federal funding. The Equal Protection Project's complaint, filed on May 14, 2025, led by Cornell professor William A. Jacobson, alleges these scholarships exclude American-born students, misusing taxpayer funds. The Trump administration's investigation, initiated on July 23, 2025 by the Office for Civil Rights, OSAR, under Acting Assistant Secretary Craig Traynor, confirms these programs' discriminatory practices by favoring DACA recipients and minorities, denying equal access to white Nebraskans. The University of Nebraska at Omaha's removal of the Dreamers Pathway Scholarship and elimination of minority preferences in the HDR Scholarship on June 25, 2025, suggest institutional acknowledgement of these violations. Nebraska's LB 239, enacted in 2006, allows non-citizens to qualify as residents for educational benefits, enabling these scholarships, but breaching the spirit of federal anti-discrimination laws by facilitating resource allocation to undocumented students. The University of Nebraska at Omaha's Student Code of Conduct, outlined in the 2024 Standards of Academic Integrity and Responsible Conduct, prohibits knowingly providing false information to obtain scholarships or awards. If administrators misrepresented eligibility criteria or fund allocation, this could constitute a violation of these standards, though no specific evidence confirms such misconduct. Potential violations and laws at risk. Beyond Title VI, potential violations include breaches of the University of Nebraska at Omaha's academic integrity policy, which mandates adherence to academic honesty standards across all colleges. Faculty or administrators who knowingly implemented discriminatory scholarship criteria may face academic sanctions, such as failing grades for involved students or disciplinary action against staff. Per the policy's provisions, the university's Code of Professional Ethics, RP 1.1.2, Bylaw 1.10, requires ethical conduct and prohibits accepting favors to influence duties, suggesting that any personal gain from scholarship mismanagement could violate these standards. The policy also mandates reporting violations to the Nebraska Auditor of Public Accounts or other authorities, and failure to do so by Chancellor Joanne Lee or financial aid staff could constitute noncompliance. Nebraska's official misconduct statute, Nebraska Reverend Stat Section 28-924, criminalizes misuse of public office for personal gain. If Lee or administrators gained personally from scholarship funds, this could apply, though no evidence currently supports this. Federal laws, such as fraud, 18 U.S.C. Section 1341, wire fraud, 18 U.S.C. Section 1343, embezzlement, 18 U.S.C. Section 641, and conspiracy, 18 U.S.C. Section 371, are at risk if investigations uncover intentional misrepresentation, electronic fraud, fund misappropriation, or coordinated misconduct. Nebraska Computer Crimes Laws, Nebraska Reverend Stat, Chapter 28, could apply if scholarship applications involved unauthorized data access, though no evidence suggests this. The Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, requires protecting student records, and any unauthorized disclosure during scholarship administration could breach this regulation, though no specific violations are documented. Punishments for confirmed and potential violations. For confirmed Title VI violations, the University of Nebraska at Omaha faces severe penalties, including loss of federal funding, e.g. Pell Grants, research grants, program termination, fines, or ongoing OCR oversight. These sanctions could cripple the university's operations, given its reliance on federal funds. Academic sanctions under the Academic Integrity Policy include failing grades for students or dismissal for faculty, with appeals allowed within 10 university days. Violations of the Student Code of Conduct could lead to prohibition of student employment, degree revocation, or withholding of degrees pending disciplinary procedures. Official misconduct, Nebraska Reverend Stat Section 28 to 924, carries up to 1 year imprisonment and fines, requiring evidence of personal gain. Federal crimes like fraud, wire fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy carry penalties of 7 to 20 years imprisonment and fines, but prosecution requires documented evidence of intent, currently absent. The Code of Professional Ethics mandates corrective action and discipline for ethical breaches, potentially leading to administrative sanctions like suspension or termination for Lee or staff. Possible crimes uncovered by the investigation. The OCR investigation may uncover additional crimes, particularly if financial audits reveal mismanagement. Fraud could emerge if administrators knowingly falsified scholarship eligibility or diverted funds, violating 18 U.S.C. Section 1341. Wire fraud, 18 U.S.C. Section 1343, could apply if electronic communications were used deceptively in scholarship administration. Embezzlement, 18 U.S.C. Section 641, might be uncovered if funds were misappropriated for personal use. Conspiracy, 18 U.S.C. Section 371, could be implicated if Lee, the Board of Regents, or staff coordinated to exclude American students. Computer crimes, Nebraska Reverend Stat, Chapter 28, could surface if unauthorized access to student data occurred. Violations of the university's Code of Professional Ethics, such as accepting improper favors, RP 6.2.1, could lead to internal investigations revealing financial misconduct. FERPA violations might be uncovered if student records were mishandled. These potential crimes, if substantiated, could lead to criminal charges against Lee, financial aid staff, or the Board of Regents, with punishments ranging from fines and imprisonment to administrative discipline. Solutions to stop fraud, abuse, and waste. To halt fraud, abuse, and waste at the University of Nebraska at Omaha and address Nebraska's non-citizen education crisis, comprehensive reforms are necessary. First, terminate the Dreamers Pathway and HDR scholarships, replacing them with merit-based programs open to all Nebraska residents, prioritizing American-born students to comply with Title VI. Revise Nebraska's LB 239 to limit resident benefits to U.S. citizens, reducing non-citizen access to taxpayer-funded education. Implement mandatory financial audits of all scholarship programs, overseen by the Nebraska Auditor of Public Accounts, to ensure transparency and detect misallocation. Enforce the university's Code of Professional Ethics by requiring annual training for administrators on ethical fund management and anti-discrimination policies. Establish an independent oversight committee to review scholarship criteria, ensuring compliance with federal and state laws. Strengthen penalties for academic integrity violations, including immediate dismissal for staff involved in fraudulent practices. Increase transparency by requiring public disclosure of administrators' financial dealings, particularly for Lee and her husband, Frank Stella, to address rumors of misconduct. In public schools, cap non-citizen enrollment to reduce overcrowding and redirect resources to American students. In colleges, prioritize Nebraskans in admissions to curb non-citizen competition. These solutions aim to restore fairness, eliminate discriminatory practices, and safeguard Nebraska's educational resources for its citizens. Leadership and broader implications. Chancellor Joanne Lee, appointed in 2021 with a $430,000 salary, is central to this crisis. Born in Hong Kong, she moved to Canada in the 1970s, earned degrees at the University of British Columbia, and held roles at Loyola University of Maryland, Towson University, Wright State University, and Florida International University before becoming chancellor. Her undisclosed birth date, vague family history, and rumored financial ties with Frank Stahler raised suspicions about her motives. The Board of Regents and President Ted Carter, who endorsed her, share responsibility for enabling these practices. The investigation may expose further misconduct, demanding Lee's removal and systemic reform to prioritize American students and preserve Nebraska's educational integrity.